Shalom, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to Wakefulness Theology. My name is Messenger Paula, and I am here with actually the fifth part, because last week we did the first part, but I split it into two parts. And this is about, again, Yahushua's holy numbers, shapes, and symbols. We're talking about pi versus phi, and last week we broke down pi, hey, and this week we're going to break down phi. Okay guys, so last week we broke down pi and we said that pi is used to measure the circumference of a circle, right? So we use pi for circles. There are no perfect circles found in nature, and we explained last week how this is symbolic of the Most High Father in the fact that His perfection above perfection, His holiness, His love and purity and all those good things that are of God is in a different dimension. Okay, we have trickle down effects. We have some of that comes from the Father here, but we only really know that idea abstractly, and that is the same way about perfect circles. And we have the connection of circles and the Father in the Bible, and that's why they use the symbolism of the circle. Okay, we talked about last week about how it's unknowable. Pi, man cannot calculate all the digits of pi. It's impossible, as it is impossible to really know the Most High Father completely. We talked about the cube, and there's parts of God that we can know, but there will always be those parts of Him that we cannot know because He's God, right? Okay, and the third part is the Bible is filled with pi. The Bible there's a lot of pi in the Bible, okay? And we talked about the connections, just some of the connections, because I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a scientist to talk about all the connections of pi in the Bible, but there are a lot, okay? And so today we are going to talk about phi. And as I said before, phi is not, it's not to demonize phi, because phi is of the Most High Father's holy creation as well. Everything we see, everything God created. Actually, it's like using the building blocks of that substance, which is Him, to create everything. So it's not to demonize phi. It's just to say that certain people, can take it and use it for their own purposes, which are not so good, So let's check into that. Phi is found in nature. So here we have pi, which is more from the heavenly realms, and we have phi, which is from the realm that we know here, the material realm. So in the book that I've been talking to you guys about, and I hope you do read it, because there's no way that I can give you all of this information. You have to do the work for yourself to really fully understand the messages that the Holy Spirit is giving you. Ruach HaKodesh is giving you codes. If you want to understand the codes, you have to understand this information that she is trying to teach us at this point. We need to be literate, okay? So to try to give you a quick understanding, which is very difficult to do, but I'll do the best I can. Phi is the measurement of lines. Pi is circles. Phi is lines, okay? So what we have here is a straight line, and then we're going to divide it into A and B. And A plus B is to A as A is to B. So this is the formula of phi. That's what it has to be. And so what happens is that when you start to bend, A and B, it turns into this shape right here, and this shape is what we find in all of nature. So we have the shape on our ear. You see they show the picture here, how phi is in our ear. You see all these pictures, the flowers, the universe. It's like the most recognized shape of the material universe. It's phi, and it's also called the golden ratio. Once more, feel free to look it up for yourself, okay, if you don't know. So you got from the navel to the floor. So in the book, the brother is talking about how the difference between Adam and Eve and their children is that Adam and Eve didn't have a navel, he supposes, because they were not born, they were created. Okay, so you get a navel when you're born because that is the connection to your mom, right, in the stomach. So he supposes Adam and Eve didn't have a navel. All the rest of humanity has a navel. So when you measure from your navel to the floor, it is phi. That is the calculation. It equals to phi. So he ascertains that phi is a direct correlation to the fall of man or sin. And it's your interpretation, but I do definitely see a connection between phi, nature, our bodies, our physical bodies. So what I'll do is I'll just put on the screen here a little excerpt from where he's talking about the navel and phi, to be more clear, because it's very difficult for me to explain. But the point being that there could be a direct connection, correlation between phi and mankind, humankind, going from more of a spiritual state to more of a manifested physical state. Okay, so definitely, I mean, I don't think anyone is going to argue that phi is found in nature. It's called the golden ratio. It's not a secret, it's not a mystery, that's just what it is. So we want to talk about phi in the Bible. We know that pi is all over the Bible. So what about phi? And this, guys, is just my own research. So, please check it out, look it up for yourself. But from what I have found, the Ark of the Covenant uses Fibonacci numbers, approximating a golden rectangle. So 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half high. The ratio is 2.5 to 1.5, which is 1.666, which is as close to phi, 1.68, as you can come with simple numbers, and it's certainly not visibly different to the eye. So what I want to say, this is just my opinion, because like I said, the Holy Spirit has downloaded me with spiritual knowledge years ago, and then as I live, she just tells me stuff and teaches me stuff, and I just know it. It's just like if you eat a sandwich and then you digest the sandwich, your body knows the sandwich without you having to think about it, and that's how it is for me with these spiritual messages. The Ruach HaKodesh just gives me like a little piece of something, and I just know it innately without dissecting it, And so it's very hard for me to come back and try to dissect something to show you, to prove to you. But as best as I can, I'm just showing you that 1.666 is not 1.618. I'm sorry, it's not. I know they're saying that it's not that far off and you can't really see the difference with your eyes. But let me tell you, if it was the other way around, if we were using it to try to prove something else, they wouldn't accept it because it's not the same. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but they're like, it's kind of close, but it's not. My 2 cents. Don't give me a rounding up and rounding down about. So that's the one place that I saw when I Googled on the internet, phi in the Bible. That's the only thing I saw. I'm not saying there's not more, but that's it. When you're talking about pi in the Bible, I mean, my goodness, you get books and books and books and hours of videos and movies, and it's just, it's not the same. In the video that I told you guys to look at last week, there is some mentions of phi. So as I said, I'm not trying to demonize phi and saying that phi never shows up in anything spiritual. I'm just saying, in comparison with pi, it's on a whole different level, as far as spiritual things. So there you go. Number 3, they use phi for quantum computing and the pyramids. Big deal. Big deal. Why? All right, so the golden ratios in the Great Pyramid. So I just typed it in Google and these things popped up. So you guys can look it up for yourself. It's absolutely true. The pyramid is our enemy. This is something that it's a message that came from Jonathan Clegg. I'm sure if you typed in Google Jonathan Clegg, the pyramid is our enemy, I'm sure you're going to find the videos where he explains that. My understanding of it is that there are ley lines in the world, and these pyramids, which were probably created by the Nephilim, were placed on these ley lines. So ley lines are like your veins in your, here you have a major artery, here you have a major artery. So they're like the veins of the planet, energetically. And they have put these pyramids in these strategic ley line places to kind of absorb the energy. So I don't know exactly what the pyramids are doing, but I think if we got rid of those pyramids from those ley lines, we would be at least more free than we are now. I don't know exactly what it would do or how it would change, but it's not, whatever they're doing with the manipulation of the energy using these pyramids is not for our well-being. Let's just put it that way. Here you go. They're using 5 for the pyramid. I don't know if that's enough to convince you. Just look up, what are the pyramids? The pyramids are for Pharaoh. Do you remember what Pharaoh did to our ancestors? I mean, pyramid, not good, okay? I was saying that they use 5 for quantum computers. All right, now this is a message that the Holy Spirit had given me. I really don't know how to explain how that works. It is just the Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, and I just knew it. And then over time, I was given the ability to put the pieces together and explain it and show you, so here we are. The classical computer performs operations using bits, which can be either 0 or 1. So you have the 1 or the 0. That's a classical computer. Now, what a quantum computer does, in contrast, quantum computer uses quantum bits or qubits, and they can be both 0 and 1, or 0 or 1 at the same time. So you have the 0 here. Now, what I understood in my spiritual eye was, as soon as I saw this, I knew that this was that. This is Phi. Now, this was before, like I said, the Holy Spirit is teaching me and showing me, and then I find the proof to explain it to you. So when I went to, and it's right, because you don't have to look very hard. It's right on the surface. It's not even hidden. So as soon as I went to look, it was like, yeah, we use 5 for the quantum computer. Boom, there you go, done, story. Right here, phi. Look at that symbol is the same as this in essence. So then it was not a far jump to go from, well, let's read this part right here, because this is from the book that we've been talking about in this series. So how exactly is phi connected to 666, turning to James Harrison's The Pattern and the Prophecy, starting on page 140, we find that 666, Lucifer's triangle number. After rebelling in heaven, Lucifer was stripped of this number. However, he always rewards the Antichrist with the former 666. Phi 1.618, Satan's sin number, the number connected to original sin, the navel, the satanic pentagram, and the paganism in every age. And then you have 13, the devil's false trinity number, the quantity associated with fear, phobias, and rebellion, also the devil's number in God's holy word. So these three numbers are intimately linked with Satan and his rebellion in heaven, 666, on earth, 1.618, and the Bible, 13. So be on the lookout for the symbol of phi, which is that symbol, or the O with the line dividing from the bottom and the top that I showed you a few minutes ago. So this is the subtle signature of Satan. It may open your eyes the places it can be found. Okay, so that was from his book that he explains all of that in there. But when you're reading the book, he's not just telling you his opinion. He is mathematically showing the links and the equations and the gematria and how everything lines up. So it's really hard to refute what he says. Again, I'm not trying to demonize phi. I don't think that phi is evil. What I think is that it is being used to do, things that would be better not done. I just, when I was doing my research, like I said, you just type up, all I did was type in something like phi and D wave or something like that. And then I found this where it is showing that Phi Corbett contributed the Mandela Design below, and it was inspired by Bruce Rawls' Sacred Geometry page, in which he uses the pentagram, also based in Phi, to collapse into an infinite series of smaller pentagrams. So pretty much he's using Phi and designing it to show what it looks like in an image. And you guys know this is Baphomet, right? This right here, this is Baphomet, the upside down star. The pentagram is geometry, Satan's geometry, because you have the five sides, right? What we need is Yahushua's geometry. We have the hexagrams, that is Yahushua's geometry. Okay, so back to where I am. I just also found this a coincidence, a coinky-dink, that you have the word Mandela, contributed the Mandela Design. That's what they called it. And we have the Mandela effect in the world, and I did a video about that here on the 2022 timeline videos. And I talked about the Mandela effect, that the Mandela is caused by the quantum computer. That was what I said in that video. So I find it very funny that here they're talking about the quantum computer and they use the word the Mandela Design. So it's just, I wouldn't say it's hardcore proof, but I would say it's things that make you go, right? If you are already leaning towards the idea that the Mandela effect is caused by the quantum computer, then this is definitely going to make you continue to believe that to be the case. I think there might be a video about I wanted to show you guys from the scientist again talking about the quantum computer, the 0 and the 1, and how it works. It's just a small segment to really bring home the point of the 0 and the 1s right here.
These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines, it is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me. It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail. And on this chip resides all of the wonder and magic that makes this thing go. I'm not going to describe in any mathematical detail how it all works, but let me give you an analogy. In quantum mechanics, there's this concept that a thing can exist in two states which are mutually exclusive at the same time, quote unquote. And I'm using those words because the English language was developed before we had concepts to describe what these things actually are doing. But I'm going to give you a roundabout way of understanding this. Imagine that there really are parallel universes out there, and now imagine you have two that are exactly identical in every respect, all the way out to the horizon as far as we can see, down to the last little atomic detail of every single thing, with only one difference. And that's the value of a little thing called a qubit on this chip, which is a contraction of quantum bit. And that qubit is very much like a bit or a transistor in a conventional computer. It has two distinct physical states, which we call 0 and 1 for bit. In a conventional computer, these are mutually exclusive. That device is either one or the other and never anything else. In a quantum computer, that device can be in this strange situation where these two parallel universes have a nexus, a point in space where they overlap. And when you increase the number of these devices, every time you add one of these qubits, you double the number of these parallel universes that you have access to, until such time when you get to a chip like this, which is about 500 of these bits, you have something like 2 to the 500th power of these guys living in that chip. So the way I think about it is that the shadows of these parallel worlds overlap with ours. And if we're smart enough, we can dive into them and grab their resources and pull them back into ours to make an effect in our world. Now, this may sound very odd to you and bizarre, and in fact, I am using language that a normal theoretical physicist probably wouldn't use, but this is, what I'm telling you is absolutely correct and in line with the way that these things actually work.
All right, so as you can see, it is the whole point of quantum computers to use the 0 and the 1 to do two functions at the same time, okay? Now here on Wakefulness Theology, the Facebook group, guys, please come and join us on the Wakefulness Theology Facebook group. We talk about all these things in advance and we talk about these things after. And it's a great place to have support and to just keep your mind focused on Yahushua, all the time, as much as possible. So here in the Facebook group, this is what I posted. This is what I'm understanding, the 0 and the 1 together. I will explain soon, in 2 weeks after the Justice League videos. In the meantime, I just made a collage to show you. Also here is the end of Young Sheldon, as we talked about before, season 1, episode 11. 111 aired on 111, remember? And you guys, in the last video, I was just talking about the 111 and how it's important, how it's connected to the Bible, how it's connected to Melchizedek, priesthood. I mean, we broke all of that down in the last video. So this is right here, season 1, episode 11 of Young Sheldon, that aired on January 11th. And we talked about that a great deal at that time in the old videos. So I just want to show you now this video so that you know that I'm not talking out my backside. Check it out.
Welcome, Sheldon. We've been waiting for you. Are you the 10 Commandments? No, we are one. And zero. We are the binary code that underlies the universe. The 10 thing is a common mistake. I want to understand God. Can you help me? Did you not hear what we just said? It's a binary universe. God is yes and no. Left and right. On and off. Something and nothing. Positive and negative. Male and female. Light and dark. But why is there evil and suffering? Well, without evil and suffering, there is no good and happiness. Oh, sure. Binary. Shall we give him the final piece of information that unlocks the secret of the universe? Why not? At least one human being should know the reason for everything. Sheldon, before the universe began. Hey, dummy, you're drooling all over your books. Oh? No. Zero was about to tell me the secret, and you ruined it.
I never heard from 1 and 0 again. Although I was once visited by 9 when I had chickenpox. He was a lot less funny than he thought he was.
Okay, guys, so even at the end, they made sure to get in the 9, and we talked about 9 in the last video. So I really hope you're keeping up with me. I hope you're watching these videos because we're building information week by week. You know, you can, but I mean, it's too bad if you're missing what I've learned. I'm learning at the same time you guys are learning it. That's what the Holy Spirit is teaching me, and I'm showing you the way the Holy Spirit shows me. So this is information that has been built up over the past year. So hopefully you're following those past videos. So in the last video, we explained about 9 and why that's so important, especially to the occultist. And here it is pretty much just showing you, and the Holy Spirit is showing us by making sure it aired on the 111, right? And the way that happened, it being episode 111, giving us the sight to be able to understand this is important. What they're trying to say is that 0 and 1 is God. What is the 0 and 1? It's the quantum computer. Do you not see this? So what I'm telling you is that we are in a tri-universe, and we talked about that in the other video. We are in a tri-universe. It's the Trinity. It is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It is not 2. It is 3. 3. 3. Everything divisible by 3. The Holy Spirit, not 2, as they would want you to believe. Are you guys with me? So hopefully that shows, what this right here shows, that they are using phi for the quantum computer, and they are wanting us to believe that the quantum computer is God. At some point, that is where we're going with this. So again, not to demonize phi, but I just want you guys to be aware that we are following pi and all those things that are concerning with pi and based in pi and found in pi, which is representing the Most High Father's name. Exodus 3 verse 3:14. And we are not dealing with those things based in phi, the golden ratio. That is something that we're using in the material plane, in nature. When we're talking about communication from heavens, we wouldn't want to be led astray with communications or things that are not of the Father, right? So just be aware there is a difference. All right, so be careful with that, saints. And there you go. We're going to keep studying Yahushua's holy numbers, shapes, and symbols so that we can we can become spiritually literate to keep us from being deceived in these last days. I hope you stay with me. And just so you guys know, I release a video every Friday on the Sabbath. And also, please, to keep in touch, you know, I have my website, wakefulnesstheology.com. You can subscribe to that website. You can subscribe to the website because we never know when they're going to start to mess with me here on YouTube. You guys know what's going on with YouTube. Everybody's days are numbered here, so I don't know. Whenever they decide they want to start messing with me, we can keep in touch through Facebook or through my website. So please connect with me in different ways so we don't lose touch. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I pray that it is in Yahushua Hamashiach's holy name, for his glory and his honor, and I pray that you've been blessed. I'll see you guys next time. Shalom, saints.